Today on Locked On Rockies, we talk bullpen, we talk starting rotation, we talk lack of offense. It's time to bring back Justin Lawrence.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 11th day of May. I am your host, Paul Holden, Rockies fan extraordinaire, and we are bringing you your daily Rockies podcast right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are proud to be your first listen of the day, and we are proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can find your favorite team just like you can find for the Rockies right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're going to have tons of fun today. We'll try and have tons of fun, but we got some great articles from the wonderful Rockies media out there that we're going to dive into. Talk a lot about pitching today. We got a big docket. We got two articles to talk about. We're going to highlight Justin Lawrence and what he's been able to do this year in an article from Purple Row, and the fact that it's time to get him back up here and to have him contribute to this Rockies bullpen. Left-handed pitcher or not in the bullpen, it's time for the Rockies to bring back one of their most effective weapons so far this year. We're going to dive into that. Also, we have a piece over there from Roxpile. Kevin Larson has dove into the StatCast numbers about the Rockies starters. So we're going to go see what Kevin has to say about the Rockies starters over there. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about last night's game and the matinee today with a little bit of day baseball, as maybe the Rockies can salvage a second game on this road trip so they don't go back home with only one win under their belt on this trip. But let's start with the Lawrence conversation. Let's keep it different. I mean, we could dive right into the game recap stuff, but I want to dive into Justin Wick's piece because we talked about this yesterday. And as soon as I posted the pod yesterday, I saw Purple Row tweet out this article, but Justin Lawrence is on the brink of big league stability over here on Purple Row. Justin Wick is the author here. Justin Lawrence has a big league ERA of 2.19. That figure is well beneath the average in the Rockies bullpen and across relievers league wide, and it's far from the only category he's excelled in. The whole thought of finally being in the big leagues or being a rookie or anything like that, mentally, you just have to make a decision to get over that hump, Lawrence said. He was optioned to AAA before Sunday's game in Arizona, despite posting some of the best figures of his pro career. Let's see. Lawrence, according to, we got this table here. Lawrence, compared to the rest of the Rockies relief pitcher, has a 2.81 better ERA at 2.19. The Rockies relief pitchers are averaging 4.89, an ERA minus of 49, whereas the team's relief pitching average for the Rockies is 110. FIP at 316. The team average is 405. Xfip is 3.81 with 4.28. There with the relief pitchers. The only thing that the average relief pitcher for the Rockies has on Justin Lawrence right now is a slightly lower whip percentage. Justin Lawrence also has a lower ERA than the average relief pitcher in Major League Baseball. Same with the ERA minus, same with FIP, and he's barely behind on xFIP and in whip percentage as well. Whip is important, especially to be a shutdown reliever, but whip alone is far from the full body of work. We're going back to Justin Wick's words here. Body of work Lawrence has assembled as he pushes toward MLB tenure. He's displayed a big league ability to execute pitches at the early signs of damage, and even that whip has seen a 0.68 or 0.86 improvement from just a year ago. I didn't make the team out of camp, but I got that opportunity and kind of showed them, hey, this guy is getting the job done when we need him to, Lawrence said. He might have been slightly lucky based on his FIP and xFIP, but he still had great results even without the luck. Perhaps most notable is his ability to simply post zeros this year. 8 of his 11 appearances have been scoreless, while he's allowed a single run in the other 3. A clear takeaway from his performance can be excellent strikeout percentage, well above the Rockies reliever average, and a fly ball percentage that screams Coors Field favorable. So enough. That tells you everything. I know that the Rockies need left-handed pitching out of the bullpen. Yes, that's absolutely something they need to deal with. But we need Lawrence. Lawrence has shown this. Lawrence is someone that's gotten plenty of looks. Lawrence is someone with a unique arm angle, with the ability to throw straight gas and get the job done. I think that we can see we've seen enough from him that he should be getting a shot. He shouldn't be down there anymore. It is I don't know. It is. This is what the Rockies need to turn to a guy that's shown it, and to give him the consistency instead of having to deal with the ups and downs and its and that's. That's where the Rockies need to turn to, because if you can post scoreless, if you can get a high strikeout rate, that's going to be massive for the Rockies. Just take a look. Gomber goes out in the 5th inning yesterday, or Senza. I'm sorry. Senza gets hit around, 7 hits, 5 earned runs in last night's game. And then the bullpen has to come in, and the bullpen gives up 4 runs, and including Lucas Gilbreth, who 0 strikeouts, doesn't get through a full inning, gives up 2 hits and 2 walks. It's not worth having a left-handed relief pitcher that's not going to get the job done. He's not going to, and Gilbreth isn't getting the job done. And Gilbreth, unfortunately, has been put into some tough situations to start the year. Of course, with dealing with what was it? Was he one of the COVID guys that got hit with the COVID there and missed the start of the season as well coming in? You just need to go back. The Rockies are regressing. The Rockies are taking steps backwards instead of the steps forward, and that's unfortunately due to poor pitching performances from some of the relief pitchers like Gilbreth. Gilbreth is currently sitting at a 20.25 ERAs in 4 innings, 3 strikeouts, and a WHIP of 3.5. I know that's his sample size is incredibly small, but he's walked multiple batters, and he had that one dominant inning in Philly. Let's see if he can get back there. But is it worth bringing up is it worth having just that left-hand mix-up if he's not able to find the zone, whereas Lawrence is showing the ability to do so? I don't think it is, but maybe Gilbreth needs more time, especially being the lefty and to start. So maybe I'm latching on to the wrong Rockies reliever here, because it is, Ty Block comes in, 3 strikeouts. That's fine. I mean, there's enough to be encouraged, but I really like Justin Lawrence. I really like what Justin Lawrence can bring to the Rockies, because that ability to with that unique arm angle and the ability to reach triple digits, I think he is the type of pitcher that you want to come in for the Rockies, because that's going to, when the Rockies get leads. I know it's been a while since the Rockies have been in the lead in a ball game that we've seen, especially on the road. Lawrence is the type of player and has the caliber to come in and shut the door. Yes, he's been a little bit lucky. No, he's not going to be perfect, and it's going to, it's not always going to work, but he's shown improvement. He's shown steps up, especially from the amount of times that we've seen him. We've started to see more and more of Lawrence throughout these years, and he's the type of relief pitcher that I want for the Rockies. A hard-throwing, unique arm angle pitcher that has a favorable fly ball percentage for the Rockies. Let's see. Laura, we're going to go back here to Justin Wicks here. Lawrence, on how long that big league hump can take players to get past after they debut. For some guys, it might last 3 years. For some guys, it might last a week. 5 of the 9 relievers currently on the Rockies' big league roster cannot be optioned. Of the 4 remaining, Tyler Kinley, Ty Block, and Ashton Godot are well beyond the age to be considered prospects. This leaves Lawrence and Gilbreth covering the potential for a revolving door with AAA, and helps to explain why the Rockies have used fewer relievers than any other team in the big leagues this year. The game has changed. The modern era of big league relief pitcher features harder velocity than ever before, but the amount of games have remained consistent, while the average length of a big league starter has declined for years. Teams have been forced to view their AAA bullpen as an extension of the big league bullpen for this reason, exercising call-ups and demotions as a means to keep arms fresh. Colorado put this on display in 2021 with guys like Lawrence Gilbreth, Ben Bowden, Jordan Sheffield, and Julian Fernandez. This is part of the modern hump that prevents relievers from truly reaching big league status on the day they debut. Yes, you have arrived, but the game isn't structured to keep you there if options are available. A fresh big league bullpen takes serious priority. If I want to play here for a long time at this level, I've got to get over that hump as soon as possible, Lawrence says. It's a tough spot to be if you're Justin Lawrence, especially when you do look at the age and you look at the people that he is competing with there. Tyler Kinley has been great. Ty Block has shown enough so far. Still a little rocky there. Ashton Godot hasn't been necessarily his best, but you probably will see Gilbreth and Lawrence kind of rotate a little bit, but it's not going to help them necessarily get into consistency, into the thing that we need for him to know, to understand his role, to be up there. And again, Lawrence is the type of pitcher that I like as a reliever for the Rockies. Gilbreth, so far this year, Ashton Kutcher, I should say, appeared in 7 games, finished 5 of them, 1 save, 12 innings pitched. He's got 5 walks, 8 earned runs in those, with an ERA plus of 761, a FIP of 427, a WHIP of 167, and all that stuff. So again, Lawrence has the lower WHIP than Godot. What is Ashton Godot going to give you that Lawrence isn't going to give you? And it's that kind of dilemma of who's going to be able to stay up and who has to be sent down. Eric, you've nailed it. The Rockies do have bad mojo these days, and they need to kind of mix things up and get back to going. I liked the lineup shifting yesterday of putting Iglesias up at the top to see what happens, and the Rockies produced hits. But it's frustrating when you look at the box score. The Giants coming down with 7 more runs than the Rockies with only 2 more hits. It's an example of a lot of expectations, but man. Adrian, you ask about Jordan Sheffield. Well, that's a good question. Let's take a look at Jordan Sheffield so far this season. Jordan Sheffield has been pitching. I think he's still down in the minors right now, I believe. It's a good point of where he's at, because he hasn't pitched so far this season, but be another interesting option for the Rockies. But again, how much are they going to be looking for that right arm there? But we could see Sheffield, I'm sure, again here soon, as the Rockies might need to figure out what's going to happen with some of these arms. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think the Rockies do anything too drastic with some of these arms, but you do have to look at like your Carlos Estevez's and your other struggling bullpen pieces, and look at your, if you're going to go with extended bullpens in your major league system or your minor league systems, and that's going to be something you got to turn to. You can't let statistically one of your best relievers sit in the minors for most of the season. You need to have someone like Lawrence up here making impacts and getting runners out. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter too much who's pitching if the Rockies can't score. We'll talk a little bit about that here and more on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Before we do that, I'm going to tell you about LinkedIn. With spring in the air, it's time of renewal and growth, personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. LinkedIn's the place to be, folks. That is, everyone's asking for, making sure that you have they are looking for jobs on LinkedIn. They go to LinkedIn first. So why not be there so you can get the best candidate possible to help fill the needs at your job? Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring, so your network can help find the right people to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Why? Because they got simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Going into the live chat here, I don't like Diaz hitting fifth. I think that's holding us back severely. I agree. I think Elias Diaz needs to drop back into the order. I think why Elias Diaz was able to thrive last year and what was such a nice surprise about Elias Diaz was the fact that he was able to contribute from the bottom half of the lineup. And I think if you can have him bolstered by a better hitting Jose Iglesias, then that's going to benefit both of them and give the Rockies scoring abilities at the bottom of the lineup. I think highlighting Diaz and making him a marquee offensive player is asking too much. It's putting too much pressure on when we need Diaz to just focus on getting back to the ability and the swing of last year. And he's put the ball. He's had some big hits. He's had some all right performances so far, but I think he is better suited in this blah, blah, blah. Sorry, as I go in my trip over my tongue. I think Diaz better suits this offense in a post sixth spot in the rotation because I want Ryan McMahon to be filling that stuff. Hopefully when Chris Bryant comes back in there as well, that's going to drop Diaz and have Diaz be more of a factor at the bottom of the lineup. I think Diaz is put higher up right now to again negate the Bryant injury, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of negating to be done as the Rockies are just not driving in runs. Like I said, they pick up double-digit hits yesterday, only 2 runs across there. They avoided being struck out a ton by Woods, and they did, at least compared to the other day, cut down strikeouts. The team still struck out 7 times in the game. But the Rockies were able to hit Wood. They were able to get runners on, and they were able to have opportunities. Yet again, the big hit is just continuing to evade the Rockies. I don't know what it is, especially about San Francisco. Eric felt a lot more confident here in the live chat about the competitiveness of the Rockies, but it just seems I don't know what it has been about the Giants of the past couple of years, but they just seem to have the Rockies number. None of these games, honestly, as Rockies fans, seem to be very fun to watch. None of these, the team just doesn't have an answer. As soon as the Giants get one little inch, they take it a mile, they explode, they go off. And I mean, this is a team that they've outscored the Rockies. What is it? 17 to 17-7 in the 2 games so far, 17-7. With the Rockies now scoring only in, I believe, 4 innings out of 18 ball games. It's just again, what more can we say? I mean, we're something. The Rockies have to get something. They got to survive until Chris Bryant comes back. Yes, but what's going to happen in the meantime? Who's going to be the one to break free? Who's going to be the one to take? I mean, we saw good hitting performances, but golly, it just hits a dead spot. Connor Joe and Jose Iglesias multi-hit games. Charlie Blackmon does nothing. CJ Cron hits 2 innings, nothing from Elias Diaz. Ryan McMahon gets a hit and a walk and an RBI, or doesn't get an RBI, but does, it gets knocked in. Jonathan Daza has 3 hits. Man, oh man. If Connor Joe, Jose Iglesias, CJ Cron, and Jonathan Daza having multi-hit games and no one scoring, it's because it just falls with a dud from the other batters in the lineup. At least yesterday, the big hit just isn't coming at the right times. The certain players are continuing to be good. Connor Joe's continuing to do what he's good at as a leadoff man, but it's not going to matter when your big RBI generators aren't helping you out, or you're not getting the big hit in the right situation. This is where the Chris Bryant stuff continues to be an issue. If Charlie Blackmon can move in the order, if Chris Bryant is instead there, you got to expect Chris Bryant hopefully driving in those 2. But Charlie Blackmon, with the way he's been swinging it, you'd expect to drive in Connor Joe and Jose Iglesias, especially when given multiple opportunities to do so. And it's Adrian makes a good point here. I used to say Daza was never clutch, but he seems to have changed that. I like him as a 4th spot, puts the ball in play. Plus, we need that with runners on. Daza being one of your bright spots, that should be a highlight. That should be something that is helping the Rockies take it to the next level. Jonathan Daza being better on offense would be a major contribution to this Rockies team, because Eric Harper in the live chat, what does everyone think of Jonathan Daza? Jonathan Daza is an impact player. Eric. I mean, he absolutely is. And man, a couple of, I don't know what that was, a weird frog in my throat there. But Jonathan Daza does make an impact on the field, especially when you're talking about the defensive side. So if you're adding a better, improved offense to Daza, that makes him even more dynamic, and it does add a nice another factor to this Rockies lineup and Rockies offense. However, it's all for naught until this Rockies team starts putting innings and at-bats together against good teams and against the division. I mean, the division has whooped the snot out of the Rockies so far, other than the first series of the year against the Dodgers. The Giants and the Diamondbacks have both handled the Rockies quite well. And so, and head home on a positive note. String some hits together today. Take down the Giants in their home ballpark and at least build a little momentum, because it is there. The Rockies were at least doing some things to put themselves in the position to win yesterday. But if they can't rely on starting pitching, if they can't rely on bullpen pitching, and if the pitchers can't get backed up, then we're going to continue to run in the mud. We're going to continue to just fall flat, face first, flat down. And a sweep by the Giants here and a one win on a 6-game road trip is abysmal. It's awful. You don't get to the competitive windows. You don't get you don't get a chance to make it to the playoffs. You don't get a chance to be a contender if you have a lot of stretches like these. It's baseball. These stretches are going to happen, but we've seen really, really worrisome bad baseball from the Road Rockies, who have now lost 8 of their last 9 road games. 8 of their last 9 road games. Those stretches will kill you. I mean, that's the reality checks. We talked about this in the Phillies series. We've talked about it from here, but this is the reality check. May is the month to make this adjustment. May is the month to get better on the road. That has to be the goal for the Rockies going forward. Adrian in the chat, Adrian Ortega says, as long as we win this game, I'll be okay. I didn't expect them to win the series, but we can't be shut out. With Cool on the bump today and the worst starter on the Giants, there's absolutely no excuse. I mean, this is a moment. This is kind of a put up or shut up moment type of deal. This is a division team. This is an opportunity to take advantage of your hot starter. Again, could Cool off? Yes, he could. But he also could be one of the best, or continue to be what the Rockies have done. It doesn't matter if the Rockies offense isn't going to back them up. You got to take one today. You got to take one. You got to at least not avoid the sweeps because you're just going to fall back and further in the division as well. And the last thing you want to be doing is saying hello from the bottom of the NL West. And we're going to talk more about Rockies pitching here in just a moment. But before we do that, I got to tell you about Built Bar. And hey, I got the perfect snack for you with summer right around the corner. Woo! So excited about Built Bar. And with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bag, in your kid's backpack, wherever you got to go. You got a great, healthy, and delicious snack for you, the kids, whoever, on the go. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both. And it's easy. All you got to do is go to Built.com and order now. You can check out all the great options at Built.com, including the Built Bars and the Built Bar Puffs. Those are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. Both are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing that. If that's not enough flavor for you, then you might want to try the Mixed Box. The Mixed Box comes with 12 flavors of bars and puffs. Know what my favorite flavor is? Well, it's any of the ones that have brownie in it. I love brownie, and it's delicious, and especially delicious at Built.com. You can check out the macro charts for yourself and all the delicious options at Built.com, and you can use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your order at Built.com. Heading over to Rock's Pile now, Kevin Larson writes, you also might know him on the Twitter as the Sabermetric Skeptic over there at Saber Skeptic. He went there and looked at what the StatCast numbers are saying for the Rockies. So let's quickly I'm not going to read through every single thing, but let's just take a quick little peek at some of the stuff that said. Take one look at Colorado Rockies opening day starter Kyle Freeland in his StatCast profile, and you're probably not all too shocked. He ranks right about 30th percentile in the following categories: hard hit percentage, XWOBA, XERA, K percentage, whiff, XBA, X slugging, average exit velocity. He's been getting hit fairly hard, but not terribly hard. It's leading to a .342 WOBA. That's basically saying hitters are slightly worse Ryan McMahon when they face Freeland. The results are pretty true right now, as Freeland's XWOBA is 3.338 so far. He's gotten a touch unlucky, but not to a degree where it's game-changing. I'd say that's also not necessarily the most fair, because Kyle Freeland's defense has let him down in a couple of starts. But in terms of pitch selection and the hitters actually hitting it in the stats on there, that's a different story. I'm just a little context, at least from my end. His pitch mix isn't dramatically different from last season. Rather, the only considerable changes is fastball usage and slider usage have essentially flipped, making his slider his pitch of choice. Hitters are simply seeing him better right now compared to last season, though, especially with his curveball. Last season, hitters only tagged him for a .214 WOBA on his curveball. This season, they're hitting it for a .327 WOBA, the highest year-over-year increase for four of his four pitches. But Kevin says he's not necessarily doomed. More about Freeland there that you can check out on that. But let's dive into the ace here for the Rockies. Trying not to fret too much, but Rockies starter Germán Marquez's StatCast profile isn't pretty. Going into Sunday's start, he ranked in the 20th percentile or worse in the following categories: exit velocity, hard hit percentage, XWOBA, XERA, X batting average, X slugging, K percentage, whiff as well. Man, that was a mouthful, but none of this is what we're accustomed to from Marquez, who we traditionally view as the Rockies' ace. The only metric he had last year that was in the 20th percentile or worse was his fastball spin rate, but that's not as bad as it looks, given that a lower spin rate fastball works better at Coors Field. So to see these drops early in the season, well, it's not good. Either he's missing his spots or hitters are seeing him better to start the season. This is shown by whiff percentage. Last year it was up to 27%. That was a touch above league average as it ranked in the 57th percentile. This season it's down to 19%, ranking in the 14th percentile. It's pretty evident in all his pitches too. Marquez's velocity has been pretty consistent from last season to this season, so this likely isn't anything to do with velocity when you're talking about him being unlucky and pitchers getting hold of that fastball. Hitters are simply seeing him better, or Marquez is trying to combat the hitters simply seeing him better or he missing spots by switching up his pitch mix a little more, mostly with an equal swap in usage from his fastball and his slider. That switch doesn't matter if hitters keep hitting him well. And seeing him well, that's not going to matter too much. But just like StatCast and just like others, there should be some positive regression coming for Marquez here down the line. Tonight's starter, Chad Kuhl, has been the best starter for the Rockies so far. He's got the best StatCast profile here, according to Kevin Larson. We're talking what StatCast says about the Colorado Rockies starters. He has by far the best StatCast profile of any Colorado Rockies starter this season, ranking average or above average in the following metrics: XWOBA, XERA, X batting average, X slugging, barrel percentage, whiff percentage, batting walk percentage, and chase rate. The biggest question with Cole is simply this: how much of his season is a result of luck, and should we expect negative regression? The answer is yes, but probably not as much as you think. Hitters are hitting him for a WOBA of 215 and an XWOBA of 293. So it's only natural that he'll soon regress to the mean, but that is by no means a poor XWOBA, as it ranks in the 74th percentile. He's in the same company right now as a guy like Justin Verlander by that metric. So what's working? Specifically, it's his slider that's getting a lot of work done. He's mixing it up pretty well with his sinker, making it a bit more unpredictable to know which one's coming. He throws his slider 39.2% of the time and his sinker 37.2% of the time. Last season with the Pirates, Cole had much worse results, posting a 3.47 WOBA with a 0.334 XWOBA that led to a 4.82 RA, 5.31 FIP, and a 4.9 XFIP Those numbers were a reason Kevin was not initially a fan of Kuhl's signing. However, a key change in his pitch mix seems to be the main driver in his resurgence this season and the main reasons he's making Kevin eat his words. There's Senzatella here is honestly, there's Gomber I just want to talk to. Austin Gomber, I want to talk Senza, the big focus, honestly, here. But we're still live. Don't you worry, Nick. We're still chatting it up. Don't you worry. I'm not going to talk too much about Austin Gomber's thing because I think you should go read what Kevin has to say. I just want to mention the pitcher that I am the most worried about in terms of this article and the advanced StatCast numbers, and it was on full display last night, is Antonio Senzatella. If Senzatella does not start striking pitchers out, or batters out, if Senzatella does not start avoiding barrels, he is going to be in for trouble, a lot of trouble. But again, going back over here, Kevin Larson, what StatCast says about the Colorado Rockies starters. Antonio Senzatella has generally been a successful pitcher at Coors Field that has defied some of the advanced metrics, which say he shouldn't be having the success he's having. While much of what StatCast does isn't what I would call advanced, it's more clear by his StatCast profile that they are not enthusiastic about what he's done in 2022. Senzatella ranks in the bottom 10% of the league in the following categories: XWOBA, XERA, X batting average, X slugging, K percentage, and whiff percentage. He's never been a big strikeout guy and has always lived off soft contact, but these numbers are ugly. His strikeout rate of 6.4% is nearly 10% lower than his rate last year, which already was in the bottom 5% of the league at 15.7%. You can get by with a low strikeout rate, even at Coors Field, but when you're in the single digits, you're asking for trouble in nearly any stadium you play with. But beyond the strikeout rate being microscopic, it's what hitters are doing with his pitches. They're hitting him for a 4.27 WOBA with a 4.21 XWOBA. That's like facing 2021 Juan Soto every single at bat. Senzatella's four-seam fastball, which he throws at 56% of the time, is getting tagged for an over 500 for a 5.19 WOBA and a 0.504 XWOBA. So those results have been fairly true. His slider, which he throws 32.8% of the time, is getting tagged for a 0.48 WOBA and a 402 XWOBA. So those results are pretty true as well. That means over 83% of Senzatella's pitches are getting hit for at least 400 WOBA. That's not good. Senzatella is simply getting hit too much. I know he's not the strikeout guy. I know pitching to contact is what he's doing, but he's not getting soft contact. They are really, really lining him up and lighting him up. And I think that's only going to continue if Senza can't get himself in a position to strike out two more batters a game. Something like that. He keeps the walk rate low, which is good. I think now he's increased it to 19 straight starts where he's walked two or less batters, but he only goes 3.2 innings, gives up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and only 1 strikeout. Strikeouts are a massive tool for pitchers in today's day and age for baseball. And Senza, I know that's not his thing, but he's got to make a change. He's not getting soft contact. He's getting hit really, really hard. It's something that is kind of the biggest warning sign, I think, for all of the Rocky starters is Senza not getting the soft contact there. So go check out the deeper dives there from the sabermetric skeptic there, Kevin Larson, over on Roxpile, and go dive in as well to more of Justin Lawrence's numbers with the article we read from Purple Road today. Justin Lawrence is on the brink of big league stability. Let's wind down the show with some more comments from our live chat, which you can join by subscribing to Locked On Rockies on YouTube. That way you can hop in the live chat just like Eric, Nick, and Adrian did and ask your Rockies questions live. Eric says, why aren't teams more proactively trying to improve when they play like crap? Try and switch up the chemistry and of the play. It's tough because honestly, there's bad stretches that happen and there's only so much mixing up that you can do. The Rockies are a team that mixes it up a lot when it comes to a different lineup, different people in the lineup. So we can't really sit there and say the Rockies don't try to mix it up. I really think we can't. We haven't talked about it a lot. You don't hear about it a lot, I guess, and necessarily on the broadcast. But we're seeing the impact of no Chris Bryant. We're seeing the impact of that bat not being there, and someone like Chris Bryant. We're also seeing regression from some players. At the same time, we're seeing acceleration. An increase in performance from some players. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word to use as the antonym to regression, but Anyway, I think it's harder than you might think to just kind of switch everything up and shake it all up. But Adrian says, I think it's because Bud is more of a traditional manager, not as much as White Sox Tony La Russa, which is definitely holding them back, way back with the managers. Yes, La Russa being in charge of the White Sox is a terrible mistake. It's just something. It's to be this bad on the road means we are a bad team. Eric says it's not acceptable to only be fine at home and this poor on the road. I know your Rockies fandom is new, but this isn't nothing new. But it's something that the Rockies do need to get better. And good teams aren't bad on the road. You are absolutely correct. Adrian says, I like Gabe Kepler, though he puts some crazy trust in his players, like putting Rodon with 100 pitches back to the game. Says a lot to the team. That says, hey, you're there. The ability's there. We have trust in your abilities. Kind of a new way of thinking that I wish the Rockies would embrace sometimes too. But sometimes the Rockies don't have a lot of are too confident, too loyal, and leave players in, I think, for too long, especially when it comes to pitchers. But folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Make sure that you stay up to date with the show by following us on Twitter at LO Rockies. You can follow me at Paul Holden 33, and you can stay up to date with all things Locked On Rockies by subscribing to the YouTube channel, so you know when we go live, and you can pop into the live chat just like Adrian, Eric, and Nick did today. And folks, now that you've made Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day, go make Locked On MLB or Locked On Now your second listen of the day, so you can stay up to date with everything in Major League Baseball with my guy Sully, and everything going on in the world of the Locked On Podcast Network with the Locked On Now podcast. And of course, the golden age, or hopeful golden age, of Colorado sports to come. This is a great time to follow the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets podcast. Tomorrow, we will be crossing over with Locked On Giants to break down the series. So I'll be doing maybe one of we'll be live streaming it. I'm in the chat type of things, but subscribe to Locked On Rockies so you don't miss a thing. And folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.